Have you ever had a job to do, something that you know needs to be done, but you just keep putting it off and putting it off until finally it boils over to the point that you must take care of it before you do anything else? Yeah, that's today. Well, good morning this morning. It's pretty windy outside here today, and I'm out at the junction box where all of my electricity is generated from my house via these two solar panels, these 250 watt solar panels. And it goes into this box through a combiner box, and we have 4 AGM batteries in here along with a midnight solar charge controller and an inverter, and they supply electricity to my house. It runs underground. There's our phone line, and over that way to the house. And so this thing needs some serious work today. So the other day my sheep were walking through here, decided to eat some grass, and pulled out one of the cables that went to my combiner box, and now this is not generating any electricity. And so I have got to take care of this because I can't let these batteries get too low. And so we've been running the generator for the last day or so just to make sure that the batteries don't get too low. But I can't keep doing that forever. I got to get these solar panels back in operation. These panels actually create, you know, enough electricity for my house, no problem. But you know, I got to have them running, so I got to get these back in operation. So that's going to require me taking this combiner box off, and it's full of wasp nest and dead wasps because I sprayed it down the other day. And so I got to take that box off so I can reconfigure it and repair the damage. One of the connectors inside was completely destroyed when this ripped out. Plus, inside, this is long past due of getting cleaned out. I have not cleaned this out in probably a 2-year period. And look at it. I mean, 2 years, just all kinds of dust, dead wasp down there, wasp nest right there. I think most of them are dead. I sprayed it. There's a couple of live ones. Oops, sorry. There's a live one right there. There's a mud dauber's nest right there. You can see that. That's just crazy. Plus all kinds of dead insects, roaches, just whatever. I need to clean this thing out. So that's what's going to happen today. We're going to basically disconnect all the batteries, pull them all out, wipe everything down, and then put it all back together. Now, I got into this combiner box the other day, and there was lots of wasp nest in there. Hopefully I'm not going to get stung on this video. But I sprayed it down pretty good with some wasp killer, and it looks okay for the most part, but it definitely needs to be removed because I'm going to have to physically work with this to rebuild some of the wiring in here. I have all the tools to do that, but I've got to pull it off so that I can easily work with it, and I need to get all the fuses out of there and clean them off. But yeah, so I'm going to get some tools and I'll start unscrewing that and get that off. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to try to get in here and get these screws out. It's kind of hard climbing underneath this thing to reach it, but it's the only way I can go through. You got to watch out for snakes while you're in here too, because there are snakes. The temperatures are starting to drop a little bit because of fall coming on, but the snakes are still out there. You just have to be looking at where you're stepping and where you're putting your hands just to make sure. Right now the baby snakes are being hatched out, and usually the baby snakes are way more venomous than the parents. I've got all the electricity on this box turned off, so we should not have a problem. Oh, there's a wasp. What are you doing? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Whoa. Why are you still alive? Oh, he's going to a different nest, I think. Yeah, he went to a different nest. There's a nest over here on this other box. I'm going to have to take care of that later. Hopefully he won't bother me, even though I just killed his neighbors the other day in this box. That's where you got to watch for snakes. Okay, this box should come off. Yep. Good to go. Excellent. Now I've got to go ahead and disconnect some of these wires. So here's the inside of the box. You can see that it's just got all kinds of debris in there. I need to clean the connections, clean out the wasp nest obviously, and get this thing back in operation. So one thing I'll recommend if you're going to be doing your own electrical is having the right set of tools, and that is a proper stripper like this. Now, they cost about 20 bucks, but I mean, it's better than doing it with just a pocket knife, which I've done before in the past, but this makes it really easy. It looks a lot more professional, and it's just doing the job right. Also, a good set of crimpers. You need a good set of crimpers, and so this is what I use when I make new connections for my solar setup. So stripper, crimper, must have. This is a mess. So I got all kinds of grass in here. I got a wasp nest. If you collect big ones like this, by the way, you can sell them on eBay. People will buy them for arts and crafts. Just a hint out there. Anyway, so I gotta pull all this out. I'm gonna pull as much of this stuff out as possible, clean it, brush it off, and get this back in working operation, primarily by replacing the burnt out one of these, which needs to be replaced, and getting those wires fixed. So that's top of my to-do list today. Now you can order the spare MC4 cables. There's all kinds of different cables depending on what your system is using, but these are the connectors. You can order extra ones online. They're pretty easy to hook up if you know what you're doing. There's plenty of YouTube videos out there, tutorials showing how to do that. But it says very clearly on these things, do not disconnect under load. And because if you do that, it will start a fire, which is evident by the one I took off that was disconnected from the combiner box. When the sheep walked over it, it melted. And so when they disconnected it, it probably did start a small fire and was quickly put out. Thank goodness it did not burn down, but because you know, it's far from the house, it would not have affected the house. But they hit that and it melted, definitely melted. So you do not disconnect these things under load. Okay, so I got the combiner box cleaned out, sprayed out, scrubbed out, and it looks night and day difference. The bus bar that was all corroded looks like it's almost brand new, and so that'll go back in. The fuses that were covered in wasp puke, they have been cleaned off with all the wasp vomit that was in there, and so they'll go back in there. And this bus bar as well. So there was a piece of rust, a little bit of rust in here, and so sprayed that down with some PB Blaster. Everything got a dose of PB Blast, which you should always keep on hand. I always keep a bottle of this in my truck, along with the handy dandy WD-40, which was invented by the space program. So WD-40 probably doesn't exist at all. It stands for water displacement 40, because it took 40 tries to get it right in all of their research and development. But despite the fact that it doesn't exist, I keep it in my truck as well. All right, so now that it's all clean, let's go ahead and put it back together. Okay, so our combiner box is now back together. Looks a lot different than what it was when I pulled it out of there. So now we're going to go ahead. I still have to wire up one of the MC4 connectors to the wiring that's going to be going to the negative back to the solar panels. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Now this side of the wiring is completely fried. This is where that piece burned out at, just totally gone. So I'm gonna have to cut this off since that connector is actually right here. It doesn't exist inside here anymore. I can't reuse this piece. So I'm gonna cut this here, and then hopefully there'll be wire there still. And then I can go ahead and put on a new connector. So you have 4 connectors here. This one's the positive. This one here will be the negative. It's kind of loose right now. I'll fix that later. But that will connect into here, and then that will go to the Midnight Solar. charge controller inside of our battery box to charge our batteries. Okay, here we go. And we are cooking. We are live. Live. Now I'll go ahead and take this, put this back on here, and the combiner box is good. Okay, so I got the box vacuumed out. Most of the debris is all gone. Top of the batteries have been wiped down. And right now with the sun out, let's see, what do we got? 146 watts coming in. Was that almost 5 amps, 4.5, 5 amps. It just went behind the clouds, so it's kind of low right now. But there should be about 500 watts total coming in when the sun's hitting directly on that. We got a pretty cloudy day. You can't see the clouds. It's partly cloudy day, and so it's right behind a bunch of clouds right now, but it's still pulling at 129 watts, and the system is sitting at 27.3 volts. One thing I'll mention that I've mentioned in other videos is this guy right here, the battery lifesaver. The expected life of these batteries, these AGM batteries, is about 3 to 5 years in an uncontrolled environment. And so they sit outside here, you know, in this box and in the weather. And so these are not supposed to last that long. Well, with this battery lifesaver, they do last that long. I recommend everyone who has a solar system or is thinking about putting one together, spend the money. I think it's like $100, $200, whatever it costs. Get one of those battery lifesavers and hook it up. You got to make sure to get the right volt. Like this is a 24 volt battery lifesaver. You know, get the right voltage for the system you're running. I always recommend at least a 24 volt system or higher. It's just more efficient and you'll get more out of it. But get one of these battery lifesavers. They really do make a difference. Regular maintenance is something that you're going to have to do whether you're a homeowner or a homesteader or a farmer or anything. If you want to, unless you're a millionaire and you can pay someone else to do everything that you want to have done all the time, you got to learn how to do some things yourself. And when it comes to solar, that's one of the big reasons I think that people don't stick with solar, or people think that solar isn't worth it, and it's because that things break, things, you know, need to be adjusted or changed or switched out, and when that happens, chances are you're going to have to call someone else to do it unless you know how to do it yourself. So learn how to do it yourself. It's not that hard. I learned, and you just got to be careful and educate yourself properly on how to deal with electricity. One other thing I'll mention. You're like, Zach, you know, your sheep busted your solar panels. What happened with that? I mean, I thought you always said goats are the things that do that. Well, let me just explain. Goats, if you ever watch a goat eat, it's always eating, has its head down and looks up, looks around. Eats, looks up, looks around. It's always looking for more trouble to get into. I truly believe that. And sheep, what do? They just have their nose down and they walk with their face down, eating, and sometimes they look up and they just find themselves in a world of hurt. Because, I mean, one did the other day. It walked up on a hornet's nest or a yellow jacket's nest in the ground. Didn't know what it was doing, just walking along, eating, and all of a sudden, oh, yellow jackets. Well, this one they just walk through here sometimes, and they nose down, eating, and all of a sudden it's under my solar panels. So it, you know, got tangled and ripped out, trying to escape, it ripped out one of those wires. And so it doesn't normally happen with sheep. Sheep are just so much less trouble. And you goat owners, you know what I'm talking about. You know, you want to stay with your goats, that's fine. But you know that goats are a whole lot more trouble. I have never walked out and seen my sheep on top of one of my vehicles. But if you have goats, you know that a truck, a car, let me get on top of the roof of that. It's just crazy. I don't understand why any of you would own goats. But hey, you know, do what you want. All right, guys. See you next time in the homestead. Bye. Hey guys, our sponsor for this video is Nextlingua, and it's perfect for homeschoolers or anyone else who has a desire for learning. Have you ever wanted to learn a foreign language?
I know that there's many homeschooling families in our audience, and sometimes foreign language learning can seem like a hard task. But with Nextlingua, you can easily install an app and get started on all of your lessons for free. That's right, folks, completely free.
Ils sont conducteurs. Ils sont conducteurs.
Our kids are learning French right now, and this app makes it easy. You can either run the lessons on the website or off your phone or a tablet. The easy interface is simple to understand, and the lessons are short and comprehensive. You can learn Spanish, Russian, French, and more. The app is supported by ads that are presented throughout the lessons, but it's completely free to use, or you can pay $20 per year and remove the ads completely and have uninterrupted learning. My family decided to pay the fee to support the app and remove the ads, but you don't have to do that. My wife and I are dedicated to our children's learning and feel that being exposed to foreign languages will set them on a road to success. The link is in the description below, and it's completely free. Every install you make with our link helps to support the Homestead. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. If you're interested in homesteading or off-grid living, this is the channel for you. Livestock, solar power, gardening, food preservation, and so much more is available in our videos. Subscribe today and check out our Patreon page over at patreon.com/AnAmericanHomestead. And before you go, please check out these other great homesteading videos. Go ahead, click on them. I'll wait.